green lovers! I'm out here on this pretty windy afternoon because I got a question from a friend who wanted to know why her tomatoes were not setting fruit. So I thought I'd make a little trip to the garden and share with you the top 3 reasons why your tomato plants might not be setting fruit. So let's get into it. So my supermodel for this video is my Berry's Crazy Cherry tomato plant. And this is a variety from Wild Boar Farms, and it has little yellow tomatoes. They're green right now, but they've got this little beak, and they grow in these huge bunches, these huge clusters. They're like grapes. I mean, this thing, even though it has not set fruit completely yet, it still has so many fruit. And when they fill out and ripen up, my goodness, they look gorgeous, crazy gorgeous. And the name Berry's Crazy Cherry is very apt. So this brings me to the first reason why your tomato plants that have lots of beautiful flowers might just not be setting fruit. Now, I'm going to make the assumption that you're doing the usual suspect things, which means you're making sure that your tomato plant is situated in a nice, beautiful, sunny spot, getting plenty of sunshine 6 to 8 hours a day, and that you're keeping it well watered, well mulched, consistent watering, all of that good stuff. You're watering it only when you dig your finger in and it's feeling dry 2 inches down. Those are the usual things that you need to do to make sure that your tomato is getting what it needs, including fertilizer, to make sure that it has the basics to set fruit. Now, the first reason why your tomato plant, which is setting a lot of flowers, may not be setting fruit is because the flowers may not be getting pollinated. Now, tomato flowers are self-pollinating, and what this means is that they have the male and the female parts all in one in the flower. And the way that tomato plants get pollinated is mostly through the activity of wind. They are wind pollinated. Of course, the little bees come along and other pollinators, and they help out as well. But for the most part, tomato flowers are wind pollinated, which means, like today, you can see those leaves shaking. It's a windy day. It's a great day for tomato flowers to get pollinated. But not all days are windy enough, and what I do, just to be sure, is every day as I look at my plants and I'm walking down my garden, I just give the plant a little shake. Just like that. Shake and bake. Or if you've got a tomato cage, you might want to shake the entire cage, the entire plant. Now be careful, don't break them. But just gently sway the plant, and that helps the pollen get into the pistil and pollinate the plant. Now, the second reason why your tomato plants might not be setting fruit is because it might just be too hot. Now, tomato plants typically like to set fruit up to about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the comfort zone, between 65 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything above that, particularly if it stays consistently above that for several days, will cause the blossoms to drop. You can see here these little ends that have no blossoms. That's because the blossoms have dropped. And they will actually stop setting flowers because the plant goes into survival mode. It just wants to survive, and it feels that when it's that hot, all its energy needs to go into survival. So it will stop producing flowers. And there's nothing much you can do about that other than give it some shade cloth if you're expecting a heat wave that's going to last several days. One piece of advice that I have for you is that after the heat wave passes, give the plant some high phosphorus fertilizer. That will encourage the blooms to start up again, and that will kick off the cycle of fruit production one more time. Third reason why your tomatoes are not setting fruit is because you are not patient. And what I mean is that if you look at this flower really, really closely, if I can get my camera to focus, there is a little tomato in there. But if you look at the flower just like that, it looks like it has no fruit, but it does. So it just takes a while. These things take time. The flowers take a while to fruit. The fruit takes a while to get to a size where you can actually see it, and you just need some patience. So give your plant a break. It's working really hard to produce all these fruit for you. And make sure you treat it well. Make sure you fertilize regularly. If your soil is not naturally fertile, make sure that you're giving it a well-balanced fertilizer once every 2 weeks or so, and particularly maybe once a month or so, especially when they're doing this heavy flowering. Give them a boost of phosphorus-rich fertilizer, and they will reward you with lots of blossoms and lots of fruit. I hope you enjoyed this video, folks, and I hope you learned something new. And if you would be so kind as to hit that like button, it really does help it get to a broader audience. And subscribe to my channel for more updates. I'm going to be doing an update pretty soon on this cherry tomato bed. Some of the fruits are starting to come in, and some of them are actually ripening. So I'm excited to show you all the varieties I'm growing in this cherry tomato bed and in the rest of my garden. And until next time, live green and love your greens.